Welcome, and thank you for joining Aspire Australia's presentation on understanding visa options for graduates. We're on a mission to provide you with the most relevant, recent, and correct information so that you can build your Australian migration strategy on a strong foundation. Hello, I'm Sarah Gillis, Registered Migration Agent. I've been working in the Australian migration industry for more than 25 years, and through that time I've helped many international students progress from their student visa to permanent residence. In today's session, we're going to demystify some of the visa pathways that are available to international student graduates. You're going to identify the starting point for you and how to prioritise the options that are available to you. The first question you need to ask is why. Why you're looking at an Australian visa. What does it mean for you? It's not going to be an easy pathway, so your why needs to be as strong as possible so that when you're faced with hurdles or difficulties, you can keep moving through the issues to achieve the result that you're looking for. Ask yourself some of these questions. What do you want to achieve? When do you want to achieve it by? And how much are you prepared to invest in terms of your time, money, and effort to achieve your goal? And what will it look like if you've succeeded? All roads will lead to your golden ticket, your Australian visa. Now that's the visa that you want, not your friend or colleagues or people on Facebook. So remember to keep your goals clear and build your own pathway. Let's have a look at those pathways. As a graduate, you have two main pathways available to you: the skilled pathway and the family pathway. Now, I mention the family pathway because if you have been in Australia for some time, you may very well have built a relationship with an Australian citizen or permanent resident, and you may be eligible to apply for a partner visa. Now, we're not going to go into that category in detail in this presentation, but feel free to contact us to discuss your situation. In the skilled pathway, there is the general skilled migration pathway and the employment visa pathway, and we will be looking at these both today as possible graduate options. And again, they're going to lead to your golden ticket, so remember why you're here. General skilled migration has both temporary and permanent visas within it, and those temporary visas can lead to permanent residence. So it's important to understand which lead to what and how they can interrelate with each other. So if we uncover some of these visas, we'll see a whole range of visas. And even though you may be interested in permanent residence, it may not be possible to apply directly for that permanent residence visa. You may need to go through a pathway. So there are temporary and permanent visas, as I mentioned, starting with the graduate visa for international students who've studied in Australia for at least 2 years. And then we have the general skilled migration residence visas, the independent, the state and family sponsored, and the regional visas. Each of these visas have their own attributes, and it's important to understand whether or not you are likely to meet or can work towards meeting any of these criteria so that you don't go down the wrong track. Let's have a look at the 485 visa, which is the common next step visa for international students who've studied in Australia for at least 2 years. So the first requirement is the Australian study requirement, where you must have completed one or more courses which are registered under CRICOS for at least 92 weeks, and you must have spent at least 16 months physically in Australia studying towards that or those qualifications. Then there are two pathways available, the graduate work pathway and the post-study work pathway. In the graduate work pathway, you will have completed a degree in Australia, whether that is bachelor, postgraduate diploma, or a master or PhD degree. Completion of one of those qualifications will get you your golden ticket for the 485 visa. And that is a visa from between 2 and 4 years. If you have completed a bachelor degree, you'll be eligible for a 2-year visa. If you've completed a master's degree by coursework, you'll be eligible for a 3-year visa. And if you've completed a doctorate, you'll be eligible for a 4-year visa. In the post-study work stream, you must have obtained your first student visa after 5 November 2011, and you must undertake a skills assessment based on an occupation on the medium and long-term list. And that will get you an 18-month 485 visa. Once you have the 485 visa, it is a platform to move on to the next step. So if you are looking at long-term stay in Australia, that 485 visa gives you a great opportunity to move forward. One way to move forward is through the general skilled migration process. Now, there are many elements in the GSM process, and it takes some time to proceed through each step. Some parts of this are under your control, for example, improving your English. Other parts, such as getting selected once you've submitted your EOI, are not in your control. So it's important to understand each and every step along the way and how you can improve your prospects. Now, we do have a separate GSM presentation which you can watch, which will go through each of these steps one by one in a lot of detail. So please look that up on YouTube and go and watch that video. Under the employment stream, there are again temporary and permanent visas, and again, some of these temporary visas will lead towards permanent residence visas and some will not. So it's important to understand which will help you along that pathway if permanent residence is your goal. So uncovering the employment visas, we find that there are quite a few, and just like in GSM where you may not be eligible for permanent residence directly, the same goes for the employment visas. So whilst there is a permanent resident employer-sponsored visa, not everyone is going to be eligible for that directly. For that visa, you would need 3 years work experience. And if you're a new graduate with no experience, it's going to be hard to move forward unless you pass through some of the temporary visas first. And some pathways include the 407 trainee visa, where you gain on-the-job training from an Australian employer for a period of 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, even up to 2 years, depending on your occupation and depending on the training plan. If you have work experience, then you may be eligible for sponsorship by an employer for either a 2 or a 4-year visa. And the 482 may lead to permanent residence depending on your occupation. And we also have some regional employer-sponsored visas where regional-based employers, so that's employers not in Sydney, Melbourne or Brisbane, can sponsor you for a work visa. You must have 3 years work experience to enter that program, but there are a wider range of occupations available for sponsorship. And that can lead to permanent residence as well. So there are a lot of options, many different pathways you can go down, and it can be confusing if you don't know where to start. So let's look at some steps you can take to move forward on your Australian visa journey. The first one would be to evaluate your options. One starting point might be to look at which occupations you can access. So an occupation will usually relate to your qualification and/or work experience. So looking at your qualifications and your work experience, try and match yourself up with one or more occupations that appear on the various occupation lists. And then once you've done that, you can see which visas you may be eligible for. Now, at this point, I suggest it's very important to get some advice from a registered migration agent so you can ensure that you are on the right track with your proposal. So the next step is to prioritise the options. Remember what your goals are. Remember how much you're prepared to invest in terms of time, money, and effort, and rank your options accordingly. Weigh up all the factors. Is time more important than money? Do you need to do something quickly, or can you afford to even do additional studies? Are you willing to move location to obtain an offering? How hard will it be to get a job in your occupation versus perhaps undertaking additional studies? All these need to be weighed up so that you can find a pathway that you're happy with. The next step is to develop your strategic plan. Now, you will probably have more than one plan, and this is a very good idea. To have your plan outlined step by step, plan A, plan B, plan C, and if something changes, you'll be ready to adapt. So after you have your plan, it's time to get started. And implementing your plan means committing to your action steps, not getting diverted easily, and really making the commitment to move forward and do what it takes to achieve your goals. That may be improving your English. It may be undertaking additional study or doing a professional year. It may be looking for work and spending some time in a job before you move to the next step. The next step is to be ready to adjust. Circumstances change, both internal and external. You will not have any control over changes to migration law, and your own circumstances may change. So having those three plans, A, B, and C, will allow you to adjust if necessary. Remembering all the time, this is what you're aiming for, your golden ticket, your Australian visa, your opportunity for a new life in this country. Imagine what that is like so that when you're jumping hurdles and spending time and money, you know what you're working towards. Let's have a look at a few case studies. So Angela is here as an international student, just doing a diploma. She's thinking of migrating in a skilled category, but her points are not looking great at the moment. Minimum point score she needs is 65, so she's well short of that. She's committed to a strategy, however, and she's going to take a number of steps to achieve her goals. That means enrolling in a higher level course over 2 years. She's going to work on her English and all her other attributes. And at the end of that, she has sufficient points to be selected. Congratulations, Angela, you've got your 189 visa. Mike, also an international student, he's done a Bachelor of Commerce and he's got some experience overseas, and he's doing an MBA here in Australia. His goal is to get some work experience in Australia so that he can improve his career prospects when he returns overseas. He's been able to grab a graduate internship, which he's been completing on his 485 visa. And Because he's been a valuable employee, he's managed to complete 2 years work experience, and he's now being sponsored by his employer for a 2-year working visa, which he may be able to extend. Congratulations, Mike, you've got your work visa. AMIT is studying a Master of Finance, having studied commerce in his country. He would like to get permanent residence. So after getting his 485 visa, he's been able to achieve work experience first in Sydney and then in Canberra, which is a regional area. And he's going to work there for a period of time which will give him eligibility for a sponsorship by the ACT government. Alternatively, because he is working in Canberra, if he can't gain that sponsorship, he could be sponsored on a working visa and move towards permanent residence over a period of 3 to 5 years. And he achieves that. Well done. Our tips are as follows. Start early. The earlier you start thinking about how you're going to move forward, the more adaptable and flexible you can be. Once you've done your own research, get some advice to have your plan confirmed and any hidden issues raised so that you know what to expect as you move forward. Make a decision about which plan you're going to take and commit to your plan, but be ready to be flexible too. And stay motivated. Remember why you're doing it. If you would like help with finding your strategic pathway for Australia, we'd love to be your migration superhero. We can take you from your migration action plan through all the steps of preparation of your visa and all the other processes until you've achieved your dream. We love rules because they show us the boundaries of possible. And it's at those boundaries that we unlock our superpowers to find a way through that will allow you to achieve your dream, even when it seems almost impossible. So your dreams are our business, and we would love to talk to you today about how we can help you achieve that dream of living and working in Australia. I look forward to speaking to you soon.